welcome. We will So welcome everyone. Are you shutting it up?
Run your top, please. You know it's up. Talk a little bit now.
Okay, I'll keep talking. I tend to do that. Can you all hear me in the back? Almost. Almost. How's it? No. Magic. Hi. So I know a lot of the people who sit in the back like to sit in the back, but if at least some of you can move forward, because there's still people arriving and they won't have to interrupt us to try to fill the seats in the front. So if you could at least fill the seats right in here, that would be great. And if it's too scary, that's fine too. So welcome everyone. It's nice to be here with all of you. Some of you are new faces. Actually, your face is ageless, but it's a face I haven't seen in person before, and some of these faces are familiar. Either way, this is the first time we've done a hybrid event or a live event, I think since Christmas 2019. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, well, so, and those of you watching from home tonight, please bear with us, as those of you here too. The technology is still being worked on tonight. We'll do the best we can. But at the moment, partially because we haven't done this in a couple of years, and some of the pieces have changed in the interim. Like, we didn't do Zoom before; we used a different system for the people at home. So we'll just see how it goes. So why are we all here? And are we here, actually? Now, I know it appears that we're here, and so I'll pretend we are. So what we do on these retreats is we actually do two things. The first thing we do is, as best we can, or what I do, actually it's a we because there is no me. Actually, there's no we either, so. Any rate, what two goals of the retreat, or what we'll be focusing on, is we'll be focusing on helping there to be a recognition of that which is real, that which is beyond the mind, beyond limitation, changeless, boundless, dimensionless, already whole, already complete, and already everything, including whatever is happening in this moment. This, whatever's already happening, is already everything I just described. Yet that isn't how most of us experience it. And that's because we experience it from the perspective of believing that we are a separate individual. It's a very real experience that we are a person and there are other people here. Yet that is just an appearance. It isn't the truth. There actually is no truth. So we'll be exploring that. And the other thing we'll be doing at the same time, because there are apparent people here, and everyone apparently comes with issues or goals that they want to work on, things they want to improve in what they believe is their lives. So at the same time, we'll be exploring that as well. That is unusual. Usually when you come to a room like this, it's either about self-help or about what the absence of a self to help. So, and so usually in a room like this, if you bring up a personal problem, they'll ask you, they'll either ignore it or they'll ask you, whose problem is it? And I won't ignore problems, but I may respond to apparent problems in unusual ways. But that's always the case. Everything about the Sedona method is unusual. Even the parts of it that are addressing problems is because it's based on the premise that you and your problems aren't real. They're not the truth. They're not immutable. The only thing that's immutable is that which all is. It's not that which you are and I am, because it includes what you apparently are and what I apparently am, but it's not about you recognizing anything. You, that which you truly are, is already wholeness. That doesn't need to be recognized or discovered or experienced. And so, and how we'll do that is I'll talk and you'll talk. Sometimes it will be a conversation. Sometimes we'll be talking about different things. And only appear as like a conversation, but they'll be talking, even though that which is cannot be expressed or understood, it can be pointed to. So this room, everything that's being done in this room by no one, will be pointing at that which really can't be expressed. So in case you haven't noticed yet, all of this is kind of a dichotomy. You may have already noticed through your own explorations that it doesn't really make sense all the time, but it's not supposed to. That's why in this, even in the basic parts of the Sedona method, one of the things we emphasize is letting go of wanting to figure it out. Because understanding doesn't really get us very far. Now, of course, it's helpful to understand that in the United States, you drive on the right-hand side of the road. Yes. and in parts of the world, like in Australia or in the UK, you drive on the left-hand side of the road. For a second, I couldn't remember. Fortunately, I do remember while I'm in a car. And so those things, it's important to understand. It's important to understand how to do whatever your job is. But truth, it's not important to understand truth. And if we're really talking about truth, it's not really understandable. It's just what is, or what apparently is. So, and then again, the method is unusual, not just in this room, but everywhere in the world. It's unusual in that it focuses on the progressive path, which is anything we do to try to improve ourselves, including releasing and meditating and eating differently and yoga and everything else, and even self-inquiry. Although some people call that the direct path, but it's still a path. It's still based on the assumption that there's a you that can discover truth that's separate from you. But what you actually are, what actually is already wholeness, is already truth, is already beingness. And beingness doesn't need anything. It doesn't even need to be recognized by you. And it doesn't need to recognize anything. It just is. And so recently I've been describing that as no path. Because really there is no path. You may have, the body certainly had a path to get into this room. It got on a plane or drove a car or did a combination thereof. But you, that which you truly are, which really isn't a you, but just an isness, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything. It's everything, all of it, and nothing at all. So even what I've said so far is a lot to take in. Now, if it seems like if some of this is going like this, don't worry about it. They're just words. We'll be exploring this as experientially as we can. The part about letting go of limitation is very experiential. At one moment you'll be feeling contracted, and the next moment you'll be feeling open and expanded and happier and more at ease. And there'll be a lot of that this week. And if that's all you get out of this course, believe me, that's enough. People have come to this course with all sorts of apparent problems, only to have them disappear before the course ends or shortly afterwards. And the other thing that will happen is all the basic parts of the Sedona method will get easier for you. Even though we may not always use the basics here, when you go back to trying to let go of something, you'll find that it gets easier and easier once you've actually experienced it firsthand in an environment like this. And at the same time, a lot of what's happening here isn't about the words. It's energetic, and it works all the way through Zoom to wherever anyone is watching in the world. Because the energetic part is based on that beingness or that truth or that isness that all is. And it has no dimension. So Lester used to say it's everywhere present and also everywhere absent. He didn't say the second part. So a lot of what will shift this week will have nothing to do with anything you apparently do or anything this one apparently does. Nothing at all. It used to confound me years ago when I was still attending retreats, not leading them, that a lot of the breakthroughs happened when I wasn't in the room or when I wasn't doing anything to try to bring them about. They just simply happened. Things just simply fell away. There were moments where there was no hail. There was just what
we've lost the audio.
Live?
There we are.
Again, as I said, we're working on the technology. Well, how many people here have seen me on a Zoom retreat? Oh, many of you. So you know that there's always sound in the background. It's usually just Willow. Willow is my bird who sometimes she gets very quiet during the course, but often she gets very chatty, especially when I'm doing podcasts. She must know that it's a auditory medium first, so she wants to make sure she's part of it. We're probably one of the few podcasts that have a squeaking bird in the background. Usually they're pretty silent. And believe it or not, the room that I do Zoom from and I do the podcast from, that's is sound dampened. But that high-pitched sound gets through anyway. But anyway, we'll pretend that the technology is like Willow, at least for tonight. So we'll be exploring the progressive path, the direct path, and no path. And all at the same time, which makes no sense at all. From each one of the supposed separate paths, it's funny that there's a path to get to where you already are. That's already makes no sense. But the direct path makes no sense to people who are pursuing the progressive path. And no path makes no sense to both the people who are pursuing the progressive and the direct path. And the Sedona method has all three. It has could you let it go, would you, and when. It has it. Hey Annie, can you guys keep your voice down? We can hear you. And the direct path asks questions like, is that actually here? Can you actually find the one who's having that experience or that feeling? Or are you that, or are you that which is aware? But all of that, could you, would you, when, and all the other parts of the Sedona method, and those questions that are also being asked of the person, are still within the dream of me. Now, often when you're doing the direct path, you think when there's this sense of awareness without content, or the sense of awareness, and at least you're the awareness, but you're not your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, your beliefs, that feels a lot better. It's called witnessing. But that's still part of the dream of me. And so the other thing we'll be exploring this week is what's beyond the dream of me. And some of that is just a discussion. Some of that is just energetic. And all of it makes no sense to the person. Just like many of the things I've already said tonight may not make sense to the person. So, and we'll do partnerships where you'll work with someone else in the room, or you'll work with someone else on Zoom. And while we're doing the Zoom partnerships, and the partnerships here, I'll probably also do a shorter version where I'll work with the cameras, so you'll have a group release about the partnership. A lot of it will be me talking, or you asking questions and me responding, or actually nothing asking questions and nothing responding, which is more accurate. But and I won't always be accurate. The thing about language is it's never accurate. You've probably heard me say that language are symbols representing concepts about that which never really was. So I'll be using language. And some people are kinder, they like it better if I say, it's symbols representing concepts about that which was, because you can't talk about what is. It is, there's no language for that. You're always talking about what was if you're talking. So, and even when you're talking about what is, at best it's pointing, but it still doesn't make sense. And so I apologize in advance for the fact that I may not make sense. And I'm not going to try to. Whatever words come out are the words that come out, and they're coming out based on what's needed. And what those who've been to retreats before, whether it be in Zoom or in person, know that every retreat is different. I don't have a script. And I really, when I get up on the stage, I have no idea what I'm going to say. Everything I've said so far tonight, except I did realize I'd probably talk about the technology and that I talk about how we haven't been here in a while. Beyond that, I had no idea what I was going to say. In fact, when I stand up here, I have no idea what the next words are going to be. And that's because the words aren't coming from a me. They're coming from nothing. And they're also being heard by nothing. You think that you're someone and something, and that's okay. That's nothing too. It just appears that way. This body-mind is not special. It's not different than any other body-mind. And it doesn't know any more than you do. In some ways, I think I know less and less. There's still some things I think I know, but that's falling away. So, did I thoroughly confuse you all yet? Good, excellent. So, well, if there's enough confusion, then let's open the floor to questions, sharing, and assistance. And then I'll go back into the confusing parts again. I'll go in and out of that. And my responses may still be confusing. So for those of you at home, you raise your hand like you usually do on Zoom, and I call on you. Well, they'll call on you. Annie and Tim, I believe, are going to be in charge of calling on people. And those of you here, you raise your hand, but you actually have to do it physically. I know you're out of practice. Those of you who've been attending by Zoom, you push the button and hope it works. We have 2 microphones. Let me do a quick microphone training for the room. So if you're called on and you're going to speak, you hold the microphone like this. It's close enough to lick, but please don't lick it. Don't hold it like this or like this or like this. And we have handy wipes if you want them, because this mic is going to go around the room. So if you feel like you want to wipe the microphone down, you'll be in charge of that. You're also in charge of moving the microphone around. And what I like for you to do is raise your hand, keep your hand up, and someone will pass you the microphone. If you wouldn't mind standing when you speak, that would be helpful. And if we're actually, looks like we're going to have a longer conversation, or I'm going to be working with you, I'm going to invite you up here. So I'm going to make it even more scary. And the reason for that is twofold. One is it's easier for everyone in the room and everyone at home to see the person who's working. If I'm working with someone there, and I can see them, but if I'm working with someone in the back, I can only see them a little. And it's also helpful for me to see your face a little more clearly. Although I don't always respond to what's on the surface, as you probably noticed. So when you have something you'd like assistance with, there'll be an invitation to come up here. It's not a requirement, but it would make it easier for everybody, including you, if you come up here. And let's see, any other guidelines for that? There are no stupid questions, and there are no wrong questions, and no bad questions. There's nothing that's really stupid, wrong, or bad anyway. There's just what's apparently happening. And sometimes that takes the form of a question. And sometimes it takes the form of sharing. And sometimes it takes the form of a feeling that appears to be needing some attention. So let's just see how it unfolds. So who has something they'd like to ask, share, or get assistance with? Yes. You were the first person I saw.
So, I'm Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
I hope I'm not starting off too diving in.
Wherever you start off, it's perfect.
Okay. So I've been working with the techniques. I've been working with someone who's been helping me as well once a week.
Good.
And
do I know them?
Status?
Stathis.
From Greece.
Yeah.
He's really, really awesome.
He's really adorable too, I think.
Yeah, he's great. If you guys want someone, like a coach person.
So
do
you
this
just gave him a plug. That's sweet.
Yeah, I just gave him a plug. Yeah.
Anyway, but he's adorable.
Yeah. And so I've been really working on layers, and I've hit something that has me being, I don't want to use those words stuck, so
no,
assistance that may be.
Well, but first off, don't censor your words. Again, since they're just symbols representing concepts about that which never really was, you can use any words you want.
Okay.
Because if you start censoring your words, or you start trying to clean them up and make them conform to what you believe is true, but it isn't your experience, or what you think you should sound like, that just gets in the way. Okay.
All right. So I've been doing a lot of things, and the last few months I've been pushing, I've been expanding beyond my boundaries, like in terms of traveling, doing things, and
great.
Trying to step into leadership and all those
Great.
things.
So come up here. This is going to be a longer conversation. That's a good idea. Give him a hand. Hey, can I get another one of these, the handy wipes, just so I have one up here too?
So as I'm stepping into doing these things more and more, I just notice my heart, like physical heart, oh man, it gets really intense sometimes.
Sure.
And sometimes it makes me just want to like back off. And like maybe something happened when I was a little kid that's not, something, but it's just like, and then I have to like really just do all the tools, take out all the tools in the toolbox just to try to like hold space for myself in that way.
Yes.
And then I come out of it, and I'll be better, and it's like being a practice. But it just, I guess I'm sitting here, like, I like to have that part resolved. I don't know what it is. It's just, sometimes the heart feels so, like when there's like more vulnerability or intimacy, or
Sure.
where you could,
The body responds
yeah,
to what's apparently happening.
yeah.
Does anyone else notice that the body responds to what's apparently happening?
Okay, it's not just me, right? Okay.
No.
All right.
By the way, even when there's the me is gone, the body still responds. We think that we're responding, but we're not doing anything, because that sense of a person is not what's in charge. It just feels that way. And you have to certainly act that way until you don't. So anyway, so all what you're saying is quite natural. So,
Feel like an idiot.
yeah, well, no, but that's okay. The part of my job, if I actually have a job, is to facilitate us recognizing that there isn't a problem. There isn't anyone to have a problem. And it's natural. What's not natural? It's habitual for the person to believe there's a problem. It's the nature of the person is just a reaction to what's apparently happening. It's not like the person has reactions. The person is a reaction. When young children are born, there is just beingness. And the body certainly reacts, like if it's hungry, it cries. But there's no one taking ownership or claiming it as me. That takes anywhere from 18 months to a few years for there to all of a sudden be this contracted energy called me that then thinks it's doing everything. It's in charge. It's reacting, it's seeing, it's feeling, it's eating. But babies eat without knowing they're eating. Babies crawl without knowing they're crawling. Babies sleep without knowing they're sleeping. But we, as human beings, past a certain age, actually believe that we're seeing, we're doing, we're thinking, we're feeling. And that sense of ownership is one of the sources of the suffering in that. So, but even that is also okay. It's freedom too. There's only freedom. This, whatever is apparently happening, is already boundless. Whether or not the apparent you is aware of it. It already is that. So you can't get this wrong. You also can't get this right, because it's not about right or wrong. But going back to what you said, what happens is when we appear to be working on something and it keeps arising, the body mind, the person makes up a story about it. Oh, I must be doing something wrong. I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it and do it better, right? Or if I was a better releaser, or a better person, or more enlightened, or hairier, or whatever it is.
This didn't happen, or that didn't happen.
Right. If I only when I was 3 years old, I had made a right instead of a left. But you didn't do any of that. It's just what's apparently happening. You're not sitting there holding the microphone now. It's just what's apparently happening. And it's not wrong or right. And there's a you thinking you're sitting there holding a microphone with this apparent problem that you can probably describe in great depth. So check, is it really the truth or is it just a story?
I get that it's a story.
Oh, remember.
Oh, I get that it's a story, not this.
Yes, your mouth isn't down there.
I get that it's a story, and I'm going to the many parts of the body as sensations arise. It's very clear, crystal clear. It's a story. It's a rising sensation.
Yes.
But there's certain parts that's arising. The contracted energy is so intense that
yes, that it apparently feels more real.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But that's what the person does. It creates suffering so it can seem real.
It creates the contracted energy is apparently what's happening.
Yeah. Yes. That just happens by itself. Again, what I just said isn't really fully true. But the person that we believe we are, wants to survive, even though it's not even alive, but it wants to survive. There is just one life, but we think we have a life. It's my life. And it's all about me, my job, my career, my relationships, my health, my wealth, my whatever. Right. So within that, so that's the overarching story. But within that, there are sub-stories. And one of the sub-stories is, I'm not doing this right. Or this particular sensation couldn't be just, this couldn't be freedom. This has to be a problem. Doesn't it seem that way when your heart's going like this? It's, well, this, I mean, it's certainly better than the alternative. Unless we have some secret yogis in here who can stop their heart at will and still be fine. It's a good thing your heart's beating. And sometimes the heart beats faster and sometimes it beats more slowly.
I get that making the contractions a problem and something that shouldn't be there.
Right. Well, if you think about it, or even if you don't, if all of you think about it for a moment, those of you at home and those of you here, doesn't it seem like this isn't right the way it is? It's got to be better. It's got to be easier. It's got to be more natural. It's got to be more pleasurable, less painful. I should be smarter. Should be better looking. I should have more money in the bank. Again, that's the nature of the person. The nature of the person is to think that this, what isn't okay.
And that's also what's apparently happening.
Yes, exactly. That's also what's apparently happening. So how does it feel now?
Oh, better. It's kind of just moving, the energy's
Yes.
moving a little bit more.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So everybody think of one of your favorite stories. And I'll do a release on it for everybody. Because again, we're going to be going back and forth. They'll be talking about it from the perspective of no path, and then they'll be back into path. Hopefully relatively seamlessly. And I won't always narrate where we are. But it's early on, so I'll narrate. So everyone in this room probably has at least, and everyone watching from home probably has, and you can just put that down for a second because I'm gonna do this with everyone. Everyone probably has at least one story that you think isn't okay the way it is, that you think needs to be fixed or changed, improved, understood, made sense out of, or just disappeared. And whatever's come to mind, is that welcomed? Is it allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then when there is a story like that, it arises with the wanting to fix it, change it, control it, understand it, do something with or about it. It arises with the wants, the wanting approval, control, security, separation, or oneness. So if you're aware of any of that in this moment, is that welcomed? Is that allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then if it's your story, you feel like you own it. You feel like it's personal. It's about you or who you are. That's just the nature of it. And it's not right or wrong or good or bad. That's just the nature of when we believe it's our story. So is that welcomed? Is that allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then this whole story, whichever one you were working on or focusing on, just check. In this moment, would you be willing to just let it go? Set it free. Allow it to unravel. Would you? When? And then could you just simply check? Are you a story? Or is there just simply that which is aware? Again, are you a story? Or is there awareness? And what if even awareness is part of the overarching story of me? What if there's just beingness. The one energy that all is. That is everything and nothing. Okay, good. How was that?
Relaxing. That was nice. It's kind of like shells opening up.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, by the way, not everyone has to come up here. Yeah, I promise, even if you want to work on something and you don't want to come up, especially in the beginning, you don't have to. But if you have a question or something you would like assistance with, please make sure to raise your hand. So actually, there's someone had their hand up. I saw it from home. Who's that, Annie?
Sydney.
Oh, Sydney. Hi, Sydney. We have to hear her.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello?
We'll get it.
Can you hear me now? Alt A. Alt A, I don't have an Alt.
Sydney, I'll call on you next. I'll call on someone who's actually in the room while they figure out how
I'm
I can hear you.
I'm on, can you
But I'll-
you not hear me now? Can you not hear me now?
Did you have your hand up? Yes.
Yeah, they
Did
they
someone
can't
pass
hear you,
them the microphone? Oh, I will.
but you're unmuted because I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
It's a pleasure to be here, even if I'm having some doubts that I'm actually here. If there is no I,
Yes,
there is no me,
yes,
there's no us, and no we.
yes.
There's approximately 70 people in this room.
Approximately, I think
Why
it's,
are we wearing name tags?
we're not. Well, first off, I'm not wearing a name tag. So again, this isn't supposed to make sense. And it's not important that you know that there is no you or no me. That's the same as believing there is a you and a me, because it's still a sense of knowing. So I know that's, what's that? Yes. You want to pass the microphone? Well, just, I didn't hear the comment, so I want everyone to hear it.
A lot of stretching, I mean.
Oh, it's a stretch, yes, yes. It's a stretch, yes. So that really wasn't your question. You want to pass the microphone back? What was your real question?
No, that was really my question.
Why we're wearing name tags?
Yes. If there is no identity.
Oh, no, there is a, again, this doesn't necessarily make sense, but there's certainly, if someone says hail, I know they're referring to this body mind. Just like, well, I can't see your name tag. What's your name? Just like, just like Christopher responds to his name. So what falls away is not the name. It's the one who thinks it's the one who believes they are a name. So nothing changes externally. Nothing needs to change. Sometimes many things change, but nothing needs to change externally at all. So we wear name tags because when you're in a group like this, it's for the simple reason it's really helpful to be able to talk to people by their name, and it's a way of communicating. And that can be done with or without the sense of me. You still have more of a question. I knew there was more.
It could also be done without a name tag, correct?
Yes, but what we found, so you have a problem with name tags?
I'm just trying to base it on.
Wait.
If there is no identity, or if there is an identity, and we're removing the tags of I, me, us.
We're not, no, I'm not doing that. I say I still. It's not about changing the language. It's not removing identities. You can't remove, it's like me trying to remove my hand by shaking it a lot. It's hopefully it's not going to fall off. So, and this is where confusion comes in. The mind will understand, oh, there's no me and no them. So maybe we shouldn't use those personal pronouns. Maybe we should stop using names. We can just grunt. It's not about changing anything. It has nothing to do with that. You don't have to change anything. You really don't.
I was just going off at the beginning where you said that there is no me.
Right.
So if there's no me and there's no I.
Right.
Justify.
I understand that, but understanding that is intellectually is not the same as the sense of me dropping away. And if you notice, a lot of the method is a technique. It's a process. So that's done by me. But the thing that we introduced a few retreats ago, no way, is not done by anyone. It's just what's apparently happening. And there's nothing the me can do to bring it about, because the no path is already no me. Just freedom. Just beingness. And I started getting to that a little bit when we started doing the freeway, for those of you who've been coming for a while. We started releasing from truth as opposed to towards truth, but that's still someone releasing. So this is beyond that, and it's not something you do. It's just what's apparently happening. Now, that's also true when you're doing a technique. But let's not worry about that. But that's a good question, because let me see if I can make this a little clearer. Trying to get this intellectually or understand it is not required at all. Period. Which is good news, because there may be no understanding, and that's okay. So can we talk to Sydney yet? Did you work it out? James, did you work it out how we can hear Sydney? You think so? Let's try again and see.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
1 second, Sydney. Don't start talking yet. You're not going to have to do that every time, are you? Try now, Sydney.
Can you hear me now?
Nope. Keep talking. No, shaking your head is not talking. No, no. All right. Still nothing.
Hello. Hello.
All right, we'll have to work on it. Sorry. We'll get it. I have faith in us. Where's the microphone? Molly, she had her hand up before. At least she was on the edge of her seat before.
So you talk a lot about your foxhole releasing, and I'm feeling
My
recently
foxhole releasing?
about your theory of foxhole releasing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had a theory of foxhole
I'm
releasing.
feeling recently like my releasing has become a form of resistance.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to figure out a way around that.
Okay.
And so I've done the
Well, stop
welcoming
releasing.
stuff a little more. Oh. Okay.
Now, notice even just me saying that, something released.
Yeah, it kind of did.
Yeah. So again, you do not have to release. It's going to happen anyway. She said she's having a problem because she's starting to feel like releasing isn't really working, or she's doing. It's a form of resistance. It's not quicking. And I know everyone in this room has experienced that. Sometimes you're doing the process and it's almost magical. And other times you're doing the process and it's like you're just, except you don't do that just once. So one of the things you can do if you find that the process isn't working at the moment is give yourself a break. Just simply stop trying to release whatever it is. And what I found is if you stop trying to release, often it just releases by itself.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, if you may notice that in this environment, releasing gets a lot easier.
Sure.
And again, it's whether you're here or at home. It gets a lot easier. So I'm not saying don't, but if at any point you reach you're struggling with letting go, one of the things to do is stop trying to let go.
Okay.
Again, in life, we forget that too. We keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Yeah.
Was that Einstein?
Yeah.
Insanity is, I think, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That can sometimes be true with releasing too. And there'll be lots we cover this week that will help in all the different places where we appear to get stuck.
Sure. No, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Over here. Oh, actually, it's Ryan's. Actually, why don't we, so we don't have to wait, give that to her. And where's the other microphone? We'll give this one to Ryan. Ryan's next, though, since I short-stopped him before. He almost got to talk before.
It's
Just give it a second. There you go.
test. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And I think my question is kind of similar to Molly's in that, well, when you said to try something different, like I find if I'm looking for something or trying to find something, as soon as I stop trying to find it and just chill out, like I'll remember something that'll come out of nowhere and I'll be like, and then I'll go there and it'll be there.
Yes.
But where I still am, my question is about, I know that I'm not in charge of my life. Intellectually sometimes, but a lot of times it feels like I need to be in charge.
Yes, absolutely. It feels that way. To the person, it's life or death.
So the trouble comes when, if I release, sometimes I'll be spontaneously moved into action. I'll
Yes.
go away or towards in this direction, but usually it feels like a pull to go in one direction and not away from something in particular. But sometimes it feels very important to move away from something for somebody's, not, a job or a residence or someone's behavior.
Yes.
And I want to get away from that behavior. But it's like, it easily becomes like my personality takes over and is like, I can't allow this, or I need to move away from this and go away from something. But usually I can feel that it's coming from stress, and it's not like, once I release, then sometimes I'll be inspired to go in a different direction.
Sure.
But is there ever a time when I'm released on something that I would move away from something, or is there always going to be like a pull towards something?
Oh, no. If you look at your life, we're all playing a game of bumper cars. And sometimes you're moving away from the other bumper cars, and sometimes you're moving towards them. By the way, the thing about the bumper car is there's a steering wheel that's not attached to anything.
Okay, so I'm not getting much traction on the road.
Right. But anyway, but the
Is that why?
yeah, as little kids, you think you're actually steering.
I didn't know that they didn't want to touch anything.
No, it's like our lives. We think the controls are actually hooked up. But anyway, moving towards or away is just, the body mind, of course, moves. It moves towards things that it thinks it's going to benefit from, and moves away from things it thinks it's not. But the body mind does that by itself. Robert Adams, who was a fully, or still is, even though he's not physical anymore, is a fully realized devotee of Ramana Maharshi. And why did I bring him up? What were we talking about?
Moving away, bumper cars.
No, has nothing to do with that. That's so funny. He talked about Robert and everything disappeared. Why was that? Why did I bring him up? We'll see if he comes back.
The body mind. Oh, you said the body mind does what it does
now I remember.
automatically.
Perfect. Thanks. The body, one of the things that Robert always used to say is that you're not taking care of the body mind. It takes care of itself. So the body mind knows to step out of the way of a bus. It doesn't need you for that. The body mind knows that it needs to eat when it's hungry.
But my resistance comes up when, for example, my brother behaves in a way that I find difficult to live with.
Yes. So,
and I don't want to judge him. So
No, but you already-
I
you already
resist
do.
the urge to move away from it.
I don't want to judge you, but just listen to how you could be better. Isn't that what families are about? I love you the way you are, but I'd love you more if.
And then I resist the fact that I judged him, and I judge him because I'm resisting him. And it's all.
Yes. I understand. So all of that is the person. But that doesn't, when you're working down the street, if you're in a city, I not in places often where I have to worry about that, but when you're in a city, the body mind naturally, if you're walking in a crowd, I just went through an airport, you don't walk into everybody, you naturally walk around them. Well, there are people in the flow of life, it's the same thing. There's certain people you walk around. There doesn't have to be a whole story about it. The whole story about it is all just a story.
And there's a part of me that resists walking around him because he's my brother. I should love him the way he is.
I understand. That's the story. Exactly.
Yeah. So I should
but
release
all of that, first of all, all of that is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, that even though the method says that, once we start doing it, we start to become our own releasing police. You don't need an external releasing cop. You know, you think judgments can be released, and whenever I don't release a judgment, I'm bad.
Yeah, then I judge myself.
Exactly, then you judge yourself. You have to judge something, right? So if I can't judge them, I'll judge me.
Yeah, totally.
But I remember I remember the first time there was a judgment about something. It was definitely a judgment, but there was no one judging. And it was just very strange. The judgment still arose. There was no charge to it. There was no attachment or aversion to it. The judgment came up and it left, but there was no story about it. It just arose and left. Just like if you go into a restaurant, you don't eat everything on the menu. There's certain things you want, the body mind's attracted to, and certain things it's not.
So the stickiness comes with the judgment, but if I could just let it arise and go, then I could take the action and bump away from this and bump towards that and just let the body do what body does.
Yes, but you don't do any of that, and at the same time use the Sedona method for that. The progressive. I'll stop after this. I'll stop identifying it, but use the techniques. You can still, if you feel judgment, like right now when you think about him, it's your brother. You said brother.
Yeah.
I didn't imagine that. That's good. Come up for a second. So when you think of your brother, can you feel the judgment?
Yeah, I feel some, it's a little tension.
Okay.
Here, yeah. I'm mad at him about something recently happened. Yeah.
And is that welcomed? Or could it be?
I'm trying, yes. Yeah.
Good. And is that judgment what's apparently happening?
Yes.
And does it belong to anyone?
No. It's just there.
Right. But notice also when it's recognized it doesn't belong to anyone, it often just starts to dissolve by itself.
My mind wants to bring it back because my mind wants to use it against him as proof that I should avoid him,
so
get mad at him.
You can work on it the same way. So is that welcomed?
Sure, I can welcome that.
Okay. And is that just what's apparently happening? Your mind has a story about why you need the judgment.
Yeah, my mind is trying to tell me that I need the judgment because without the judgment, I can't stay away from him. I can't create space.
That's right.
But I don't really need the judgment.
No.
I could just step away and make space.
Right, or the whole dynamic could change.
That would be nice.
Yeah. But is there actually anyone who needs to create space?
No.
Or is that just simply what's happening?
When I look, there's no one actually needing that.
Right.
It's a story.
Yeah, exactly.
It just keeps coming back.
Yes, but and this is natural. You all resonate with this, right? Yeah, it keeps coming back. And that's okay. First off, it's okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it keeps coming back. Things arise until they don't. See, and that is a relief. Yeah. You think, I haven't released it well enough, that's why it keeps coming back, I'm a bad releaser, I should release better, I should be a better person, I should love them more as they are, all these shoulds and shouldn'ts.
Does the method teach not to push against anything though? Because
Well, yeah, it's letting go of resistance.
so when I let go, it's really not pushing against anything.
Yes.
But if I am annoyed with my brother and I push against his behavior, then that's pushing against something out there. So
Well, it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter what, there can be pushing. You're pushing yourself all the time. At least it appears that way. And you sometimes push against what appears to be other than you. But either way, there is pushing, and the pushing, it brings resistance with it. And that's not right or wrong or good or bad, but it's releasable.
So when I'm pushing against anything, whether it's in here or out there, I can release that, and then I'll just take the action of either going around that thing or changing the dynamic with it, maybe, my brother in this case, but it will feel less efforting.
Yes. What you find with releasing in general is it gets less on life. The purpose of life isn't to release. The purpose of life, well, it doesn't really have a purpose, but if it had one, it would just be life itself. What's happening. And what the purpose of releasing, if it has one, is to help you let go of whatever appears to be getting in the way.
And then I'll be moved by my intuition.
Well, you already are.
Touche.
We're already moved by something beyond the person.
Yeah, I wish I could just chill out and be moved by that all the time instead of trying to think my way.
But even when you're going kicking and screaming, you're being moved by that.
I guess you're
Even
right.
the kicking and screaming is being moved by that. Since again, one of the first things I said is there is only that. There is only boundlessness. There's only the one energy that all is. And it can take the form of a person. It's boundlessness personing.
And if I'm resting in my intuition, will making an action or a choice ever feel like I'm pushing against this, but I want to go towards this?
Maybe. Again, as a person, we want to have it all planned out, but that's why God laughs so much. She's a comedian. So everything we do with releasing is designed to help the sense, that contracted sense of being, dissolve. And it's also designed to help that person that we believe we are to just live their life with less and less stress and suffering and anxiety and judgment and all the other things that appear to cause bumps in the road. But remember, those bumps and the road and the one that appears to be bumping is already freedom, is already boundless. So the reason I keep bringing that up is because it keeps coming up. That's really the only reason, but I'll make one up. But that if I find that if people can get that, even intellectually, that is very relaxing. It really makes it easier to do the process, if there is a process to do.
So I need to release on both my judgments against my brother and then my judgments against myself for having judgments against my brother.
Actually, it would be helpful to release both, but you don't need to.
Which one should I release on?
I don't know, what flavor in your mood for today?
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter which one.
No.
Just release on something.
Well, or not. I know this isn't how you expected it to go, but this is how it's going. You probably thought I'd be telling you you should release more. You'll have to go to a different seminar for that. What's his name? It will come to me if it's supposed to. Anyway, do what you do when you're doing it, and don't do what you're not doing when you're not doing it. So, release when you're releasing, and don't release when you're not releasing. And since you're not releasing or releasing, you don't have to do either one.
But I've spent a lot of time not releasing, and I've filled myself up with knots.
Of course, yes. That's why once we know how to release, and once we remember, because everyone knows how to, even without the Sedona method. The Sedona method just happens to be a very elegant set of tools that help with releasing, that help facilitate it. Releasing is a spontaneous thing. It happens by itself. One of the things I used to say, this is decades ago, is releasing isn't really letting go. It's the cessation of holding on. And that can happen spontaneously. And all of you have experienced that. You'll be really angry at someone and getting ready to yell at them, and all of a sudden it just is gone. Gone. You didn't do anything to get rid of it. It just disappeared. So releasing is natural. Most things are released already spontaneously for everyone, whether they have the Sedona method or not.
I remember being a kid and wanting to get mad at it was my brother again. This is come back to him.
I see a pattern here. Maybe you should lie down.
Be I'm gonna hold a grudge against him, and eventually I would get tired and spontaneously release it.
Yes.
And he would always be better at holding a grudge than me, and I would get mad at him for being better at holding. He would be able to stay mad longer, and I just couldn't do it. And it would eventually release on its own as soon as I stopped paying attention and nurturing that little ball of whatever it was.
One of the things you probably noticed is that it takes work to hold on.
It does.
It really does. It takes energy. The reason we're tired at the end of the day is not because it was an extreme day. It's because there was an extremely a lot of suppression. We're holding on.
Yeah. Thanks.
I think. Thanks.
I'm just gonna sit with that and
good.
do the method for a bit. I thank you.
Yes, thank you. Do we want to try again, or is it, what? No? Oh, sorry. So those of you at home, apparently we're going to need overnight to get this working. Is that right? Okay. So we'll have it all, we'll test it and have it all working by tomorrow morning, right? Right. Well, we'll have a workaround, even if we have to create something else to do, right? Yeah, okay.
Heya.
Yes.
Heya. Those who had questions, 3 people are only here for this evening, so unfortunately we won't be able to address their questions. Unless you want me to read.
Oh yeah, let's get them. When we first started allowing people, first started doing live events with streaming, we didn't have Zoom, so we couldn't really make it interactive. The last time James did it, we figured out a way to do that, but it wasn't with Zoom, and he had time to do it. And so he had the whole thing worked out. But what we did instead is people would type in questions, and if Annie and Tim couldn't answer them, I did. So is there any questions or comments from home?
Well, they haven't told me what they are yet because they were hoping to speak to you, so we'll have to wait for them to type them.
Okay. So for tonight, if you have a question you want to ask me, type it. By
Thanks.
tomorrow, we'll have that worked out. So yes,
Hi.
hi.
First, it's the birthday of Ryan Buddy today. It's his birthday today.
Oh, it's your birthday?
Coming here was my birthday gift to myself.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ryan. Happy birthday to you.
Second, forgive me for my English because I didn't practice it long time ago.
That's okay.
So, okay. While you were releasing on the stage with the first, I don't know who, yeah,
Person.
It seems like what is appearingly happening, honestly, is much more important than to know the truth of myself, the truth.
Yes.
It seems like there is a part of me, there is some stubbornness, something insists that, yeah, okay, all that is good, all that is wonderful, all that is nice, but this need to be fixed, the situation need to be fixed.
Oh, yeah,
first.
no, that's fine.
So it's,
But well, we're going to address that.
yeah.
That, I mean, this week, we're going to, remember, we're going to do
Okay,
both.
all right.
If you have something that you want to address, we'll address it. See, we actually worked on Ryan's brother. He feels a lot better about it, just from the little bit of work that we did.
Yeah.
He actually also had a lot of insights. He actually realized that he probably hadn't thought in a long time about how, I'm putting words in your mouth. When was the last time you thought about how he was better at holding on? Right. So we'll work on stuff the whole week, even as we talk about this perspective that makes no sense.
Okay, let's see. It's happening when, how to say, it seems so real, so important, so what is appearingly happening seems so real and so important than anything else.
Right, it does. That's exactly right.
So here is something, a part of me rejecting, and it's the same one. I'm aware of both, the one who want to release and the one who resists.
Yes, yes.
Both are.
Yes. That's one of the things that we do when we believe we're a person. We don't. The separation of being a person isn't enough. We separate the person.
Yeah.
There's the good
Yes.
part of the person and the bad
Yes,
part of the
and
person,
both
and we actually believe they're two.
Illusion, yeah.
But no, first of all, we separate again, we don't do this consciously, it just happens. It's the part of the functioning of the person. The person believes that it's experiencing life, as opposed to life is just what's apparently happening. But then the person thinks that there's a good part of the person and the bad part of the person. And then they're fighting with each other all the time.
Yes.
So there's separation within separation within
Yes,
separation.
yes.
Apparently. None of that's real, but that's how it appears.
Yes.
That's absolutely how it appears.
It is so confusing.
Yes.
Too much.
So let's do a release. We'll do it for everybody.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So we'll start, I'll do a couple of holistic releases. The first one is, whatever your apparent problem is, whatever it is, Could you allow it to appear as meaningful and as important and as special and as real as it does? And then could you allow it to be as meaningless and as unimportant as it is? And then could you allow your apparent problem to appear as real and as meaningful and as important and as special as it does? And then could you allow it to be as meaningless and as unimportant as it is? And then could you allow that problem to appear as meaningful and as important and as special as it does? And then could you allow it to be as meaningless and as unimportant as it is? And then could you allow yourself to fight with yourself as much as you are? And then could there be love for yourself could you just notice the love that is already there, even in the fighting? And then could you allow yourself to fight with yourself as much as you do? And then could you allow the love that is as best you can? And then could you allow yourself to fight with yourself as much as you do? And then could you allow yourself to notice the one love that even includes the fighting? And then could you allow yourself to feel as imperfect as you do? Could you allow yourself to feel like you need to be fixed or changed as much as you do? And then could you be open at least to the possibility that there is already perfection? And then could you allow yourself to want to change yourself as much as you do? And then could you be open at least to the possibility that whatever is just what's apparently happening? And then could you allow yourself to just be? And then is there just beingness? Is it at least possible that there is just beingness without even needing a you? And then could you allow beingness to be? And then could you be open at least to the possibility that there is only beingness whether or not there's a parent allowing. Okay, good. Yes, Annie.
I have two questions from Betsy and Meg, very similar, requesting assistance releasing severe anxiety and as a result of trauma.
Okay. Well, I'll sit down for that. First off, anxiety or anxiousness is just a feeling. It's not the truth, and it's not who you are, even though it often feels like it is. That's why we call it severe, because feelings feel severe to the degree that we own them or have identified with them. So this is true with any emotion, but fear tends to, for most of us, tends to have us contract more than most other emotions. And that's not right or wrong or good or bad. That's just kind of how fear functions. And so, first off, just know that fear is just a wave of energy. And it comes and goes. Even if you think you have chronic fear or a reason to be afraid, or you may even say to yourself, I'm always fearful. That isn't the truth. That's just how it appears. So allow yourself to think of something that you're afraid of. And could you just welcome or allow the fear? Is that welcomed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then, as best you can, just for now, could you let go of that feeling? Just could you? Would you? When? And then check. Is that your fear? Or is that just what's apparently happening? When we think I'm having fear or it's my fear, there's much more contraction. But what if, just what if, that's just what's apparently happening? A fear feeling. Or you can also ask yourself, is that feeling actually attached to anything? And if you really look, you'll see that and all feelings aren't really attached to anything. They just simply arise. And then another way to work on it is what if, just what if, fear, just like all emotion, is just a wave in the one energy that all is. What if, just like waves, they rise and fall, but they don't have any independent existence apart from the ocean? Or in this case, that everything and nothing, or boundlessness, that all is. So if you noticed, I went, every one of those steps can be done independently. The first step was just seeing it as a feeling, not who you were, and welcoming it or noticing that's what was apparently happening. And then asking yourself the simple questions: could I let it go? Would I? Or when? And when? Or I said, could you? Because I was doing it with you. The other thing you can check is to see if it's actually attached to anything, or it actually belongs to anyone. And there are many other questions like that help you disengage from it. And then you can also just simply notice that fear is just energy. It's not right or wrong or good or bad. It's just wholeness, fearing. So all of those are very helpful. Was there anything else, Annie?
From someone else.
Sure. By the way,
Oh,
raise
that-
your hand if you want to talk here too. I'm not excluding you. It's just we haven't really talked to the people at home yet much.
Ryan is wanting to help someone who seems always to be feeling down or stuck, feeling bad for them, not knowing how to assist them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so this is a good question because it comes up all the time. That does anyone in this room have anyone that you want them to feel better? Even those of you who didn't raise your hand do. So there's several things that help with that. First off, recognize that if you're wanting to help them feel better, there's some wanting to control their experience. So I would highly recommend you let go of wanting to control their experience. Another thing that's really helpful when you're wanting someone to feel better is be the relief you want to see in them. So you're releasing wanting to change the way they feel. It actually inwardly makes it easier for them to let go, even if they don't have this tool. I noticed this decades and decades ago, that people respond to you differently if you're released. And it also feels better to be around someone who's released. And it doesn't matter if it's just with the Sedona method. Releasing happens everywhere, all the time. There are some people who just do this naturally. They're a little less engaged with their stories than other people. They're more like ducks. They quack a lot. No, you know the analogy of water doesn't just rolls off a duck's back. A lot of people just that's how they live life. So, but they're fun to be around. unless you're wanting to, sometimes you want to drown them because you want them to commiserate with you. But, so the most helpful thing you can do is, with releasing, is to release. That helps them. Another thing you can do is just share what you've gotten from releasing, the things that the benefits you've gotten. And just say, if you're interested, there is this website, or there's these audio programs, or this book you can read. So you can refer people. But another thing you can do is say, I learned these techniques. Would you like me to help you with them? But with that, make sure they're wanting you to do it. Don't force it on them. And then lastly, to the degree that you are released, you see everyone as fine the way they are, even if they're not apparently released. So that really helps. But even more than that, to the degree that there's a lack of a personal center there being wherever you're apparently sitting, whether you're sitting here or at home, to that degree, there is this sense of relaxation and openness that is contagious. And there's no doingness required for that. It's just what apparently happens. So the more that's the sense of the personal center dissolves, the less people around you feel their personal center, and that's a relief for them. And so that is also incredibly helpful to them. But ultimately, there's no you and there's no them, and there's no problem. It's just an appearance that there's a you and a them and a problem. So all of that is ways you can be supportive. So who else has something they'd like to ask, share, or get assistance with? Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. So I had a few short questions.
They can be long questions.
Okay. When we talk about that sense of the personal center dissolving.
Yes.
And I feel with a lot of non-dual speakers as well, and they talk about this. When you go back to the progressive path, it feels like there's a tendency to feel like you're going backwards.
Right, because you think it makes a difference.
So that's a normal feeling, to feel like you're going backwards and reinforcing
Yes, but can you reinforce something that doesn't exist?
No.
Can you make nothing more nothing?
No.
So, again, it's sometimes misinterpreted when you hear non-dual speakers, that they're saying that there's nothing you can do. And you shouldn't, and you shouldn't do any kind of process or practice. It's not what they're saying. They're saying that it's not required, and there's no one to do it. But you'll practice or release or meditate or chant or eat vegetarian or whatever it is you think you need to do in order to be more spiritual or better. That will continue as long as it does. And it's not right or wrong or good or bad. It's just what's apparently happening.
So I feel this because I'm completely blissed out right now. And I've felt that way for most of the year, just this not wanting anyone, any event, any place. I just want to bask in my own energy.
Right.
It's just this and it feels like, can you speak about the transmutation of the energy? Kind of like, it feels like purification.
Yes. So that may or may not be happening. But if there's a you who's feeling blissful and wanting to hold on to it, that's still part of the story of me. The feeling of happiness and bliss and all feelings, just like anger and sadness or grief or fear, come and go. What is all of it. It includes all of it, happiness and sadness, what's apparently good and apparently bad.
Less dense. It's not even a happiness. It's like just a lightness, less constricted.
Yeah, see, and then everyone in this room, part of the reason you're here is you've noticed that even just listening to a few recordings or watching a few videos, there was something shifted. Something felt easier, more open, more aligned, all these positive attributes. And so you're attracted either to participate from home or here because you wanted more of that. And that's fine. And that's still part of the story of me.
What's not a story?
What's not a story? Whatever is just apparently happening is not a story.
Okay.
Was there anything else?
That's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you want to pass the microphone there, and then you can be next. So let's just do a quick release, though, on the way you think you're supposed to be. Not that any of you ever feel that way. When we listen to any speaker or teacher about any topic, what we do is we then think that, well, that means I need to fix myself or change myself, or the way I am or the way things are isn't okay the way it is. It needs to be fixed or changed or improved. Or I shouldn't want to fix, change, or improve it can also happen. So if there's any sense in this moment that whatever's apparently happening, isn't wholeness already, is that welcomed? Could you just be present with that? Allow it as best you can. And what if it is already wholeness? What if that is already wholeness? Whether it feels contracted or expanded, whether it feels happy or sad, whether it is the way you want it to be or it isn't. What if that is already wholeness? And focus on what's apparently happening again. And check to see if anything about what's apparently happening feels like it should be different. And if there is that welcomed? Is that allowed? Is that what's apparently happening? Is even that what's apparently happening? The thought or the feeling, it should be different. And what if all of that is already wholeness? Is already boundlessness? is already freedom. What if this, whatever's apparently happening, is enough? Is already empty fullness. Is already formless form. Okay, good. So who had their hand up? Do you have the microphone? Where are the microphones? Oh, did I call on you too?
What's that?
Did I call on you, or are you just saying you have the microphone?
No, you called on me.
I already did. Okay, she's next. I forget, but do that in the seminar. If I forget who I called on, just remind me. Go ahead.
So when we did the release on the fear two releases ago, the underlying sense was sort of the fear was always about the uncertainty.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm completely allowing of that uncertainty, and it's open and energizing. And sometimes that uncertainty is extremely scary and seems to be at the root of all the fears.
Yes.
And I guess what you're saying is just allowing.
Yes.
And if I dig into that uncertainty, it's like staring at the stars and trying to figure out what is all of this. And it's
right.
very debilitating.
Mm-hmm. So, but what if there is nothing that's certain?
It's disappointing.
Yes, for the person it's very disappointing. But the as a person, we just want to know. We think the more we know, the safer we'll be, and the more in control we'll be, and the more real we'll be. But what if that is just an appearance? It isn't the truth. Have you ever been certain about something and have it not turn out the way you thought? And have you ever been really uncertain about something and it worked out better than you could possibly imagine?
Yes.
Yes. So certainty isn't important. It's not meaningful and it's not significant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did that help? Good. Yes.
I'm very new to the process. Very
Great.
new. And I think one of the hangups, and you've pointed this out repeatedly, is that the choice of words they're just symbols representing concepts, but some of the words you use create in me a confusion. You've highlighted that too. The idea of welcoming difficult feelings.
Yes.
Particularly those that maybe someone who's gone through trauma.
Yes.
Has a physical pain that they seem to relive, that they seem to obviously not want to relive. They want to keep that. How do you move through the process?
So are you talking
and welcome, the term of welcoming.
So change it.
Yeah.
There's other words for it. Welcoming is is more open and bracing. But what about just notice?
But is part of the process to actually feel that again?
No, you don't need to feel it again.
Okay.
You're already feeling it.
Okay.
Just when you think about something that's traumatic, there's already a feeling. You don't have to make it more. Welcoming isn't. It has nothing to do with that.
And when you get to the steps where you say, could I let it go? Would I let it go? And you might be able to say yes, but the when feels like a conditional, like something
Yes,
has to
but
happen in order for me to do this.
Yes, so say that. But so be honest. I'll let go if they change. That's how a lot of us are in life. I'll let go when the world changes. You might wait a while. or I'll let go if they treat me differently. Or I'll let go if that never happened. That's actually how we look at it. Well, if that never really happened, then I'll let go. Now, I think you can see from that, though, you might wait a while. Because if you're waiting for something else to change before you let go, then you're at effect.
What if your when is about something you cannot accomplish?
Yes, but letting go is not about changing the circumstance.
No, but I think, anecdotally, part of the 12-step program is to make amends. And if you feel that in order
Yes,
to
but
move
this
beyond-
isn't 12 steps.
No, but it is a concept that if your when feels like, if I could apologize, if I could do this, I could let it go.
Yes,
but that's not possible.
Yes, well, sometimes people die before you can
Yeah.
make amends, of course. So, but that's why we don't have 12 steps. By the way, the 12-step program is amazing. It really has saved probably millions of lives. So it's wonderful, but this is simpler. This is about letting go. It's not conditional. It's completely unconditioned. But if the mind is giving you all these conditions, that's okay too. You don't have to wait until the conditions disappear. You can just take a step back and go, wait a minute, with this particular thing, I don't feel like I can let go unless this changes. But do I like that? How do I feel about that? Well, no, it still feels crap.
Mm-hmm.
So you release on that. You can always find a place to release from. You just take a step back. If the mind is saying no, then first off, the mind can say no and there'll still be a release. But also, the other thing you can do is get to a yes, and that's just change the question until you find a question you're willing to say yes to. And that's not cheating. And that's not cheating. For instance,
Can I use that on my husband? That
Yes.
Find the question that he'll say yes to.
no, well, you're already trying to do that, and it doesn't work. He knows when you're doing that. And he knows, and you know when he's doing it to you. But say this is very simple. Say you think you have to make amends first. You use that as an example. So could you let go if you've already made amends? If you'd already made amends, could you let go?
I'd like to believe I could.
Well, you're thinking about it. So
No,
yeah,
yeah.
again, think of something specific.
Yeah.
If we took, if it's too hypothetical, then we can really overthink it.
Mhm.
And when you're talking about anything hypothetically, it's really easy to stay stuck. Really easy to stay stuck. So one of the things I recommend here and with releasing in general is lead with your heart as opposed to your head as best you can. And release on what actually is real for you, not how it might be or could be, how it is. So is there something that you want to release in this moment?
Yes.
Okay. So in this moment, could you just allow or be present with that, whatever it is? And then could you let it go? Just could you? Even just a little.
I really want.
Yes. Would you?
Yes.
When?
No.
Good. So you did let go a little. And you pick something that's big for you, right? Okay. So one of the other things that you might find helpful is to have you practiced releasing much, or and this is?
I'm on, yes, mostly with anxiety, like other people have addressed.
No, I mean before getting here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
This
So.
particular one, no.
Okay.
I've tried, but I haven't been successful.
Okay. So right now, though, can you see how you have this expectation that it's going to be hard?
I don't have the expectation. My body tells me it's hard. The
No,
heart
but-
rate, the
Yes.
clenching, you know.
Yeah, but the crunching and the heart rate don't prevent the release. That's just the physical symptoms that are arising. They're not in the way. They're just what's happening.
Well, I feel like it's actually choking me, so.
No, I know. Absolutely. But if you're choking, that's a sensation, right? It's a very strong sensation, but it's still just a sensation. And so is that sensation what's apparently happening at the moment, the choking sensation?
I think that phrasing confuses me.
Right.
That particular phrase has confused me.
Yes. Well, is it not happening?
No, that feeling's happening.
Right.
It's the apparently that kind of throws me off. I'm like, okay, wait, you're just messing with my mind now.
Yeah, I know. But the reason I use that word is because have you ever thought something was absolutely true only to discover it wasn't?
Yeah.
Yeah. The more you release, the more you see that even the things you thought were most true weren't as true as you thought. That's why I use the word apparently. And there are other reasons too, but that's the one that's relevant at the moment. But something just released anyway.
Mhm.
Did you notice?
Yeah.
And you look, it's a lot more open. It's a lot more relaxed.
Mhm.
So use the question without apparently.
That makes it easier.
Good.
The
So-
wordplay, the playing with words of, well, it could be, it could not be. That starts to feel a little empty. That-
Yes.
It
So
feels as though you're playing with philosophically, or I don't know.
No, but it's not really about the words. It really isn't. So use the words that work for you. I don't care which words you use. Use whatever works.
Okay.
Again, the reason there's a group of tools of the Sedona method is it evolved in situations like this. where someone had something they needed assistance with, and words came out. I don't know what's going to come out. Words just came out. And then after they came out, I went, oh, that's something I think will help other people. So I tried it again, and it worked even better. And so that's how the tool chest got as big as it is. The things that worked stayed. The things that didn't.
Is it possible that tool chest is too big? Because sometimes it feels like those concepts there's so many.
Right, but stick with the
to-
ones that work for
Okay.
you. Again, does your husband have a lot of tools?
No, I actually have more tools than he does.
Okay, so, but you only use one at a time.
Mhm.
Or maybe there are two tools you use together. But do you have to get rid of all the tools to know that this particular tool works with this? So the reason there are a lot of tools is the mind can get very creative in the ways that it holds on.
Mhm.
So all the tools are helpful. And so just use a hammer to put the nail in, not a screwdriver or not a saw.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks for sticking with that. Because there was a lot of charge there, but how does it feel now?
Feels less, it feels gone.
Yeah.
Not entirely, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There may be another wave, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Can you pass him the microphone?
Hi,
Hi.
David. Not a question, just a comment. The tool chest is too big, and I used to feel that way as well when I first learned the method and over the years as it's evolved. And one of the tools that you introduced a long time ago, holistic releasing, I thought, this ain't right. This ain't the real Sedona method.
Right.
And I argued with you a lot at a retreat like this many years ago, and I thought, this just doesn't work for me. Today, it's probably one of my favorite
Right.
methods. So you never know what's going to work for you.
That's right. You might, by the end of the week, you might go, oh, don't leave out apparently. I really need to hear that word. It really works for me.
I doubt it.
So, thank you for sharing that. But one of the just know that all the tools are appropriate when they are, and they're not when they're not. And also, just remember that that which truly is doesn't need tools. It's already whole. It's already wholeness. It's already perfection. It's already boundless. So don't be too concerned by which tool is working when. Just use whichever tool you're drawn to, and then see where it leads you. So, anything from the people at home?
Yeah, maybe perhaps a release around scarcity, lack, wanting, people wanting a better job or more money.
Oh,
Those-
sure.
Have a few questions along those lines, or a relationship. Thanks.
That was a lot. Hey, what's that?
Throwing you like a Lamborghini.
Throwing a Lamborghini? Okay. So actually, I'll end with a release on abundance, but I realize I haven't done any logistics. So let me just share a little bit about the logistics. The course will run from 10 in the morning to 6 at night. There'll be a 2-hour lunch break that usually is around 1. It could be a little before that, a little after that. There aren't a lot of rules and regulations. Just follow the laws of the United States if you're in the United States, or follow the laws of whatever country you're in. Let's see what else. I know there's other things. It's been a while since I've done the list. Oh, yes, this whole week, be easy on yourself. We have a tendency when we get a tool, instead of just using it the way it's intended to use, we're hitting ourselves with it. It becomes a bludgeon. So just be easy on yourself and do things this week that are just fun. Whether you're at home or here, just make sure you take time for fun. We're only meeting 6 hours a day. And by the way, usually we don't do 2.5 hours in a row. We usually do maybe an hour and a half, and then we take a break and we do another hour and a half. This is unusual that we didn't take a break tonight, but that's how it turned out. But I'll make sure that there's always a break, because people think that what's being said here is important. They don't want to miss anything. So I don't want people to be sitting here or at home thinking that they don't want to miss something. And by the way, this is being recorded, so everybody will be able to watch any part they missed, including if you're in the room, you can miss parts. In fact, one of the things I've heard is that even the people who are here live in the event don't miss a minute of it. When they watch it and they listen to it, they go, "That happened? Really?" And you find each time you listen to it or watch it, you'll get more out of it. That's part of the reason this is being recorded, so that you have it as an ongoing tool that you can continue to explore. When we do our breaks, I highly recommend that on the afternoon break, that you take, you don't just go out with the people you know. This week, those of you who are here, I highly recommend that you expand your circle of acquaintances or friends. It's very nice. It's a great way to build community. And those of you at home, I would recommend that you connect with the people who are watching from home. What we'll do is we'll leave the chat on breaks, so that, and we'll turn it at home. We'll also turn on unmute everybody so you can chat with each other through the messaging thing that's on the side of the screen, and you can also talk to each other. And I highly recommend that you do that. Now, we're not going to do that on the lunch break, except for maybe a short period of time, but we will do it on every break and every session. Let's see. Oh, for those of you who've been here before, I rewrote the entire workbook. So it's not the same. So usually I encourage people to read the workbook, and the people who've been here a lot just assume that they've already read it all. Well, you didn't read this before. It's new. I spent a good part of time simplifying it and creating new materials for this retreat. Let's see what else. Oh, yes. Importantly, please, as part of this retreat, don't do anything that's physically or emotionally harmful or hurtful or invasive with other people. So honor people as they are. I don't know another way of saying that. I mean, Maybe I'll be able to say that more tomorrow. There was something specific I was supposed to say about that, but it's so out of my consciousness. I'll have to go back and read it. I think it was in the form that you signed. But be respectful of everyone in this group. And if someone is wanting to do something with you that isn't mutual, or so you're wanting to do something with someone else and it's not mutual, take no as the as an answer, and don't push. So, but the bottom line is have fun. This is those of you in Sedona, it's a beautiful place. We don't start until 10, so make sure you get out and shop or hike or just look at all the sites, take pictures. It's gorgeous. So make sure you take advantage of that. Those of you at home, you might want to do that same thing as well, but maybe you can look at pictures of Sedona. But just know that the course is started at, you probably noticed things starting to shift when you enrolled, but it started accelerating at 7 o'clock tonight. And you're even when you're not in this room or you're not watching from home or watching a recording, the retreat is in session all the time. Everything that happens this week will support what we're doing together. You'll be surprised at how much that's true. So just allow yourself to be as engaged as you can, even when you're not in the room or even when you're not watching a recording. Or watching it from home. And by the way, those of you watching from Europe, you're probably not here if you're watching it from Europe. You're probably watching this in the morning. But I was just going to suggest that you attend live when you can. This is for everybody watching from home. Attend live when you can and just watch the things that you can't attend live for afterwards. So that's enough logistics. So let's end with a release on abundance. So right here, right now, and even beyond what we call here and now, there is already wholeness. There is already freedom. Which you could also call abundance. What if this is already abundance? Now, the mind may have a list of the things that it would like to have, and that's fine too. What if even the list is abundance? What if even the list is wholeness? And could you just focus on one of the things that you'd like to have that you don't appear to have in this moment? And could you just welcome whatever that stirs up inside of you? Could you just allow it? Is that welcomed here? Is that what's apparently happening? And also welcome or allow or be present with any wanting to fix it, change it, control it. Do something with or about it. Is that welcomed here? Is that what's apparently happening? And is there anything about that that appears personal? If there is, could you welcome any sense of ownership? Any sense of I, me, or mine? And then could you be open at least to the possibility that that abundance that you think you want to get is already? Whatever that particular thing is, what if it is already? Even if it's not obvious. What if wherever you are about that particular goal is already complete, is already whole? What if it's already accomplished? And then could you just simply open to or welcome the one abundance, the one beingness that all is? And as best you can, could you allow anything, including you, that appears to be separate from that, to dissolve into it? Is there actually a you separate from abundance, separate from wholeness? Or is there already everything and nothing? Okay, good. So one other logistical announcement. Out the doors there's some parking on this level, but if as you're going out to the right or as you're coming in to the left, those spots are reserved for the staff so they can be able to take things in and out and get in easily. So you can park on the other side, and there's parking for hundreds of cars down below. So please don't park on the, again, on the right on the way out or on the left on the way in. And so we're just warming up. This is just the, oh, yes.
One quick, will it be this cold every day?
No.
Are we going to keep it at this?
No, but bring layers.
Okay.
Because it's, this is actually a little warm compared to the way we often keep the room. We usually set it in around 69 or 68. This is set at about 70. And the reason for that is it's just, if it gets too warm in here, it becomes nap time. So just bring layers. So that's all for tonight. I'll see you all tomorrow, and those of you at home, I hope to see you. Yeah, so go. If you need a ride, go to the table where Annie is. She's not volunteering to give rides, but if you could also, if you can help people with rides, that would be great. Oh, thanks for being here. Oh, good. Good. Oh, yes, definitely.
Thank you.
I don't do hugs. I didn't do hugs even before COVID.
Okay, that's fine.
I won't go into the whole reason why. Maybe I'll bring it up tomorrow. But I appreciate the sentiment. Oh, say hi back. Give her my love. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, she's fabulous. Yes.